look at the Hang Seng go. It's up 2.5% as we speak. However, it's the Taiwanese index which is down 0.5%.
Drop in the market was probably, quite consistent with keeping financial conditions tight and therefore not unexpected and probably not unwelcome.
Growth momentum, which we've been seeing now for nearly 7 or 8 quarters, has continued unabated.
Not a bad showing at all, holding on to the 18,000 mark despite the weakness in global markets.
I would say that auto parts is probably the way I would play into this whole space at the moment, and there's still reasonable valuations there as well.
Weak set of numbers when it comes to margins for Ajanta Pharma. So it's coming at a multi-quarter low of around 20.9%.
And look at the Indian market holding well above that 18,000 mark despite the tumultuous external environment.
Numbers have been largely in line with expectations. Nifty earnings are flat on a reported basis for the 34 companies which have reported.
After 5 quarters, Amara Raja has returned to 13% plus margins, and that's a 140 basis points improvement.
The government had a divestment target for the financial year of 65,000 crore rupees, out of which 24,000 crores have been raised, and this next lag will help the government raise anywhere about 18 to 20,000 crore rupees.
Markets absolutely flat, some positive bias on the Nifty.
Well, that was the day so far. It's absolutely a flat session. I mean, what else to say? 2-3 point change, that's about it. I'm Prashant, with me my colleagues Reema and Nigel. Guys, hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. So, not very much, at least by way of movement on the indices, but it's very stock specific. It has been that way for the bulk of the week, actually. The one area of really jumpy, large price moves in Asian session has been China. Just incredible performance with between 2.5% to 5%, 2.5% on the mainland markets, 5% on the Hang Seng. The Hang Seng Tech Index almost 8% higher. And these rumors continue unabated. These are unsubstantiated reopening chatter, which I think refuses to go away. So we'll see. I was saying this morning that although officially about a day ago, day and a half back, it was quashed that there is nothing of that sort happening. Maybe there is. I mean, the prices are telling you something else, so something worth paying attention to. And if that does come through, I think that's a big cue for a lot of industries, commodities in particular. US stock futures are higher as well, but just a little bit, 0.25%, 1/3%. And of course, the big cue later is the jobs number out of the US. And I think, after all of the hawkishness, if the jobs number is a large miss, I think that is something which will be important only if it is a large miss. I mean, in line, slightly here, there, I don't think that makes too much of a difference after all that we heard from the Fed chair just 2 days back. Reema, hi.
Hi, so we're going to be watching for the jobs data. We'll also watch for earnings which are expected today from Titan, TVS Motors, Britannia, Escort, as well as Indigo. So these are the numbers which are still pending. And tomorrow we've got State Bank of India as well as Bank of Baroda reporting their numbers. For the week, we're still going to go home with a gain of close to about 1.5%, which when you compare it with the Dow, which is down 2.5% in the first 4 days, would constitute a big outperformance, Nigel.
Well, that's right. Reema, a couple of positives, though we are in a range-bound trade. But otherwise, 2 positives that I'm tracking today. One is that the advances, well, they're way more than the number of stocks are declining. So that's pretty good news out there on a day when you have the Nifty more or less flattish or up 10, 20 points odd. Now, good earnings reactions is what we're getting. Amara Raja, the stock is up close to 10%. So clearly, the street is taking note of good numbers and rewarding it. Rainbow Hospitals as well, we pointed this out yesterday on closing. Well, the numbers look quite good. And that stock, in fact, it was a re-rating candidate actually at around 550 rupees because it traded at a sharp discount in comparison to its larger peers. Both those 2 stocks, well, they're up close to around 8 to around 10% as we speak. Now, we had a couple of numbers actually that just came out. I think Aditya Birla Fashion that came out with a set of numbers, and that one's got clonked back. So clearly, it goes to show that the markets are tracking these numbers very closely. If it's not good, well, they are seeing a sharp downtick. While numbers that are good, they're getting rewarded quite well. Active strikes today, the 18,100 call, that's telling you that around that 18,200 mark odd will be a bit of a barrier. 18,250 to around 18,300. On the downside, however, the 18,000 put continues to see writing, and that's what's giving the bulls some bit of a hope that we can climb up even from here on. 2 big events, as you'll said, post-market hours. SBI results tomorrow. The last few minutes, I saw the stock did perk up, and the US jobs report, well, we'll track that as well closely. So Interesting final 55 minutes of trade coming up. Rima.
All right, I'll pick up on that, Nigel. Let's quickly tell you what's lined up here on the show. Tepid trade on Indian bourses, but the silver lining in the Nifty maintaining stance above the 18,000 mark. Metals and PSUs lead the charge, while it's another down day for IT stocks. A barrage of PSU banks buzzing in trade. Bank of India is surging on the back of improved asset quality in Q2. Meanwhile, SBI and BOB are a buzz ahead of earnings. All of the details coming up in a bit. Hero MotoCorp slides on the back of weak earnings. We get you the highlights from their earnings call later on the show. And ahead of other key earnings, we'll tell you what to expect from Titan numbers, which will be post-market hours today. And finally, we'll talk all things markets with Rajesh Kothari of Alpha Accurate Advisors. All right, how should you position yourself in the last hour of trade? Mitesh Thakkar of Earnings Wave is back with us. Mitesh, good to have you with us here. I mean, as flat as they come, ahead of the weekend, of course, with a couple of important cues as we were just highlighting. What would you do?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Prashant. I think, we have maintained that this market possibly will consolidate for a couple of days. The process started yesterday already, and I think we might not see a break below levels of 17,980, 870 zones. And I think broadly decline should be buying opportunities. But in the short term, you might see, with the intraday indicator still overbought, in the short term, you might see 18,200 kind of come into play, and we might not get past that. But after a few days of consolidation, my belief is that we'll break on the upside. So maintaining a long bias, and idea is that decline should be used to buy into the markets. On the stock side, Reliance seems to have triggered some kind of a bigger trend on the upside. The first target should be closer to about 2635, 2650 zones. So this is a buy with a stop below 2560. And the other one which I like is PVR, which is reversing from oversold levels and giving a good breakout. That's a buy with a stop just below levels of 1790 for targets of around 1885 on the up.
Mitesh, thank you very much for those recommendations. Let's talk about the auto sector. Hero MotoCorp is the top Nifty loser, held a conference